There we go. Now everybody's rolling in. What's up? Just wait for a couple people to get in here, and then we'll announce that 3,000 follower giveaway, and then we'll get Fleeter in here and keep her going. Everybody hear me okay? Look. Yes, Malcolm, they are sent. Everybody hear me good? Yeah, yes, no. Everything's good. Everybody hear me? Need some feedback, people. I need to fix that though, because that's gonna rub the whole time. Yep. Perfect. All right, let's get this 3,000 follower giveaway out of the way, and then we will get Mike in here, or Fleeter, as you guys all know him. So we got 72 entries. I know that's going to look weird to you guys, but I'm trying to make it work. All right, let's get this over with. Not over with, that doesn't sound good, does it? Now, okay, there we go. Here, I'll flip it so you guys can actually see it. So you guys can see your names if you entered it. Focus. So these are all the names. If you see any doubles, it's because they donated, and that was part of the giveaway. If you donated $5 or more, you got an entry, an extra entry after your comment. So I'm going nice and slow so people can pause it if they want to later on. All right. Ready? And the winner is Audi 902. Congratulations. I got to write that down, and I'll get that sent out to you tomorrow. All right. Holy fuck. I can't wait to be done with this ratchet setup and put some money into where I am right now. Stay. Love you. Yeah, that was the wife's phone. I didn't really know how to do it. So, all right, you guys ready? Welcome to episode 5 of the Behind the Bars podcast with FleeterMike, or as most of you know him, well, yeah, FleeterMike, or Fleeter. Everybody calls him Fleeter. This is going to be a pretty cool episode because it's my first person I'm having on that has a company. If you guys don't know, he runs Handful. Best jerseys, gloves, glasses, goggles on the market. So let's get him in here, shall we? Oh, Cody, why do I always forget how to do this? FL. What the Something's FLE. Alright. Somebody want to message Fleeter for me and tell him to join the live so he can ask to join, because I cannot find him. Like, I'll go to invite someone and I'll type in Fleeter and nothing pops up. Even if I type in handful, nothing pops up. So yeah, someone get Fleeter in here. Dan, message Fleeter. He needs to join the live in order for me to message him and get him in here. It's going to be a lot of staring around looking at me. Now you got, now you got to, deep and dirty, you got to message him for me. I know, I'm putting at FleeterMike, but he must have blocked me. He's like, I'm not going on that podcast with that fucking guy from Nova Scotia. Do I have to type in the at? Is that what's happening? I haven't had to do that with anybody else. No, it doesn't pop up. Can I hear the Outlander? No, because my keys are in the house. Sorry, I don't keep them in the shop. And I'm not behind the bars because I like this setup over here, but it's sitting back there, all nice and clean. Ready for some new tires. Thank you, Brandon. Oh, that's why. His dick's too big to even get in the fucking live stream. That makes sense. I didn't think of that. He said it's not showing up. Okay. One second. Let me see if I can... Is there settings on here that I can mess with? Like, am I not set up to be public? I definitely should be public. It wouldn't even matter because they're fucking... Cody. Alright, let's see. You have no requests. I know I don't have no requests because he's not fucking in here. Alright, one sec. I'll be back. I gotta figure this out. Oh, there he is. Ooh, I almost canceled it. You blocked me, Mike? That was not nice. I can't believe you blocked me. Like, what did I ever do to you? Fucking taking off this fucking little jersey. There we go.
It wasn't showing up.
I know.
Brandon had to send it to me.
Yeah, that's weird because it wouldn't even let me like search you and add you or handful. I was like, oh, no. I don't know. That's the first time that's ever happened. So
yeah, I don't know what's going
on. Oh,
all right.
Here we go. We got the bikes in the background and everything.
My wife sent me to the garage, so
it's better that way. Let's be honest here.
She's cooking. We were doing Christmas decorations and crap today and cleaning. I got that because I had muskeg and mud all over the driveway that's been tracking in the house for 2 weeks.
So you're on the shit list.
Yeah. I blew it all into like a little pile, so it was nice and neat. But and then I just parked over it when I got home, so she couldn't see it. But then I was and the kids all walked through it when they got off the bus. So, and then it went through the house after she just cleaned it. So I'm, So other than that, how's things?
Things are good. Things are good. But this ain't about me. Nobody cares about me. This is about you.
Oh,
so let's start off. Let's give the people your name there, bud.
It's Perry, from Ontario, which probably most of the people watching are from Ontario, probably know me already. So, but not Southern Ontario. About it. Dad, follow my friends around. They do cooler stuff than me, but we just have a good time. Rip around Niagara mostly. Try and get up north as much as we can. it's tough with a group our size because
Mm.
we're I gotta say we're lucky because we started riding together roughly like 2019, I think, like 2018-ish, slowly, and then like 2019 we kind of all just I knew a couple of them from other things like Muddin for Parts. Brian kind of knew through work. And then, believe it or not, my first ATV I bought in like 2017. He lives close, and he had an ad on Kijiji for some like Mudder in-laws or something like that.
Mm.
His house, and I'm buying them, and like, oh, I think I know. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I know you, but he's considerably younger than me, so we're kind of like our adult lives were kind of spread apart. So, and then it was like, yeah, we should get out and ride, and I'm like, yeah, everybody, we should get out and ride, and then we just kind of maybe 6 8 months later it was just like a random, hey, you know this guy, I know this guy. And then probably like beginning of 2019, that's probably all of a sudden riding around here kind of blew up a lot more, where people were just bored, I don't know. And then it was, everybody kind of sliding in everybody's DMs like, oh, you live in Gunville, oh, you live in Wainfleet, or you live in Niagara Falls or Chippewa or whatever, Fort Erie, right? Like our kind of area. And then we realized, oh shit, we all live within like minutes of each other. So then, like, oh, let's try and get rides together. So then we started going. There's a park around here called Hawk's Nest, kind of on the resort. It's around HB's off of the house. So, which is, it's super fun, but it's just a cement factory. Like it's the thick, it's clay. It's 3 weeks of cleaning when you're done. I don't know how those guys ride it every week, because it's just, it's awful. It's fun, but it's just like the cleaning after.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we just started riding, and then it just kind of kept growing. And then all of a sudden there was like one day we were like, man, there's like 14 people in our group chat, and most were riding together. COVID also did a lot, right? Because a lot of us are either self-employed or like work, so we could kind of manage our schedules. So a lot of it, man, we were like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, people were done or had nothing to do. We're like, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. I'd sure grab a bunch of beers and just go rip around. And so I think that helped kind of get our group closer, like as like friends. Like we not just ride together. Like there's lots of people that ride together. Our lives, I mean, online, I'm sure, and social media seems like our lives revolve around our bikes. But we do a lot of stuff like socially, our families, barbecues, hang out. Like it's, we probably only actually get to ride together now in the last couple of years, where we're riding a lot more, or we're going places more and doing stuff, maybe every 2 weeks. So a lot of it's like, hey, what are you guys doing? You want to rip down to whether our bike, but there's a local little bar in town. We'll go for wings and stuff. So, which is cool because then we actually have more of a like family connection. And most of us are getting older, so we have wives and kids. So it's kind of like, oh, let's get together. And because you can only take so much time, as you know, you got a young family. It's like you can only blast away from your wife for so long. And then it's like, hey, I want to hang too. So, but yeah, so like it evolved like into like the riding crew thing too, was more of a like, oh, we should get a name, just because like just to collectively put stuff in, which really I suck at video. Most of us kind of suck at content, and we steal it all from either Dan, Project Vengeance, Brian, Muddin for Parts, or Chris, those guys, or Marty if he's out with the camera, Pilato. Like they make everything look good. I'm the worst. They'll tell you that if you ever have any of those guys on here. My camera's not on. It's dirty. It's brutal. I'm totally that guy in high school in the smoke hole. Hey, you got an extra butt? You know that guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm that video. Hey man, did you get any pictures of me? Did you? So now I stopped because I hated being that guy. I don't even say anything. If somebody tags me in something, I'm like, cool, high five, thanks, dude. um, but they do really good at like the content stuff. They've really grown. BVS, Brandon, Mike 2.0, Hot Mike, depends what you want to call him. He's a younger version of me. He tries, but he's still on a Polaris, so he does what he can. I'm just, I just like busting his balls. If you watch the Button for Parts, this is shameless plug, but the new Skegtober one, there's a pretty good thing Brandon does. He's being me again, and just chirps the shit out of me. But he's good. He kind of hits the nail on the head because I realize, I'm kind of an arrogant prick. So he.
Well, you don't even have to be a part of your crew to know that Brandon just gets chirped. he takes it like a champ, though.
Yeah. Yes, Brandon. Unfortunately, he's become like the whipping post. We just lay a beating on him constantly because he's like, I'm always so calm. I'm so chill. But he's probably the most uptight guy I know. The best is everyone should ride with him while he's towing somewhere in their life. He is amazing at yelling at drivers in front of him. But no, it's good. I'm lucky, especially like being considerably older guys. Like they're a lot of fun, and they really like. I'm lucky because they accommodate like my schedule a lot. Like legit, I'm the joke that I'm always late or whatever, but they know that I'm running around because I got 3 kids, or work or this or that. But they're like they're pretty damn good. That like they just even like Skegtober, it was like, hey guys, what works for everybody? And I was like, my one kid at a hockey tournament or something, I don't know, and they're like, okay, well, let's find the weekend. I mean, they do it for everybody, but I seem to be the guy who's got the most BS that screws everything up for us. So they're like, let's make it work. So I'm lucky that way because they're like our group's really inclusive on trying to get everybody out. It's not just like, oh, let's go, oh, we got to ride. Oh, tough luck, you can't make it. Now, there's certain things, obviously, but we're going on a little ride up on the 19th, and it's always like, hey, when can you make it? And most of the guys could make some other days, and I was like, man, I got this. My kid's got a volleyball tournament. I got to go to Ottawa next weekend and whatever. I was like, how's the 19th? And all of a sudden it was like, yeah, we'll get together on the 19th. So it's those types of things are nice. Like just it's good that a group of people meet out of nowhere, brought together by these stupid things, but you build some good friendships, which was good through, not to be negative or bring up something sad, but like with Nick, his passing and stuff, like it was good to have, a group of people around that actually like, gave a crap. So it's good. They're a good group of guys. They're fun. We trip the shit out of each other, which they're pretty good at drinking. They're and other things, but it's a good time. I mean, it's always a good time. I mean, you got a taste of it for the weekend, but it's they're fun, and like as a group too, the guys can move, like they can get around. It's not like they're just, there's a lot of people that just, they build a machine and can't ride it out of their shadow. These guys, I mean, mud and muskeg's one thing, but you get on a trail behind some of these guys and I don't even pretend, man. I'm just like, all right, I'll do my best to keep up the best I can, but they can move, but a lot of them, like, they come from like dirt bikes and that kind of stuff too. So, so that's the other good thing I think about like the group is it's not just a bunch of people that got together and it's like, oh, I'll mortgage the hell out of myself and build this ATV, and it's all, all show, no go, or all go, but ain't got nothing behind it. Like there's times when I'm scared just trying to. There's some areas around here even where you can open it up, and some of our rail beds and stuff, and there's whoops and whatever, and they're just banging speed limiter, bah! Flipping, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you guys, kids. But it's so that's nice too, to have like a group of guys that not only are good guys, fun to be around, good, like open arms to just random people. You want to come for a ride, it's all good, but like they can ride too, which is super fun, because then it makes the day, more fun. Every time we go out, they're looking for something. It's I mean, we have our chill rides obviously, but it's usually entertaining when we get out there. So
yeah, and I feel like that's one reason why I loved it down there so much, and I'll definitely be back again. You guys are the same. Like when I was down there, I felt like I was back home. Like it just, because you guys have the same kind of family that I have down here when it comes to riding. Like we don't just ride together. We hang out together, go to each other's baby showers, or
yeah,
go out for dinner. And so when I came down there and I was thrown into your guys' family, you could just see that, okay, it's like you're like our group, but the Ontario version, and it was awesome. And
I
one
mean,
thing you guys got to know about Brandon, he is one tough motherfucker to read because he never fucking smiles. He like everything he says is so goddamn serious, and you're sitting there like oh, but then all you got to do is give him a bottle of Coke with a Dr Pepper, and he'll just
oh, and he's your best
all over the place.
buddy. We were talking about him last night, and the first time I met him, and it's probably like an alpha thing, because I mean we joke, but he's into cars, trucks, stuff like that, custom stuff. Was before, he still is, but just ATV's kind of taken over mostly right now. But so it was like the first time I met him, we were at Max's house from Life Outdoors. So we're at his place and he's putting a ride together. He's like, yeah, cool. And my buddy Brandon, I met him, and like, okay, cool, more people, whatever. And this dude gets out who half looks like me, and I don't mean appearance wise, just like looks, but I mean like kind of dark, kind of scruffed. He's he's tattooed and whatever, just the vibe, and like the like I run the show thing, and I'm like, wait a second, motherfucker, I'm the guy. I even when I'm not the guy, I try and be the guy. It's a character flaw, but whatever, admit it, open, just accept it. He gets out, and I remember in my head going, who's this motherfucker in the white shocks and this big lifted F-150 or something, like, oh, look at me. And I was like, I rides a Polaris. And then he was like, it was hard because I was like, what a tool bag. And then like 33 seconds into talking to him, I was like, God damn it, I hate when I do that because I really like this guy. And then that was like, I don't know, like 3 years ago or whatever, like it was pre-COVID, I guess, so like 2019 or something. But anyways, it was just funny because it was like my own, like, bro, I'm the dude, and this guy just strolls in like he's the dude, and I was like, who the fuck are you, kid? Like, what? Like, you can't roll up like this. That's what I did. And but yeah, like I said, it lasted like 2 minutes. But I remember in my head, it was funny because me and Jay Bruce, the one that ran the barbecue and stuff, we were talking about it last night because he always chirps me about it. He's like, remember when you're like, who's this fucking guy? And I was like, hang my head in shame. And then we ended up being like, good friends, obviously, and whenever we can ride together, we do, and get out of each other. But it's, yeah, he's funny though. I do like to ride him a bit.
Just the younger version of you showed up. It's like you were the old bull, and then your young calf just fucking hopped out of the big old lifted truck and said, "What's up,
Yeah,
motherfuckers?"
tired. Man, I'm old. This sucks. This is shit. God damn it. So now, actually, the joke is, so we can share this with the internet because I think it's hilarious and everybody should start this. Now he's considered, the joke is, and I won't say who started it, but there's, it's, they joke and call him like Mike or Mike 2.0 or Mike Jr. because I'm old and not what I used to be. Now he's Hot Mike because he's like the hot version of me because I'm just the old man now. So if everyone could please, tag him, go on his post, just hashtag Hot Mike. That would be amazing. Even if you got pictures of him, you're posting. Don't even tag him. You can tag BBS, but really just hashtag Hot Mike.
Let's get that going viral. It'll make his day.
Oh yeah, he's gonna call me later. You're a fucking asshole. But yeah, so how was I know it's supposed to be about me, but I suck at talking actually about me. How was your experience here? How'd you like it?
Down there?
Yeah.
The trip there was dog shit. But Friday night, I enjoyed Friday night more than I enjoyed Saturday, believe it or not. Like just like the drinking and the hanging out and getting to know like all the guys you've followed on Instagram for like 2 years. It was otherworldly. It was incredible. Like yeah, it was Saturday was still good. I mean, I didn't do as good as I wanted to do because I believe it was 100% the crush locks, but I still had some good pulls, and you still were meeting guys all day that you didn't meet Friday night.
Yeah, and that's kind of a common theme, though. Like, we always have a really good time riding Saturday. Without doubt, it's always fun. But there's always some sort of, your bike's not set up right, clutching's shit, you blow a tire off, you break an axle, it's something always happens to somebody that kind of bumps. But so that's why we've kind of really worked hard on getting there, like for Friday, because which we shouldn't do, but we always say we're not going to do it, but we kind of get there too early, and then you put the pedal down, and then you're just, and it's the riding's almost secondary. Like
it is.
It's fun. For a lot of us who've ridden up there a lot now, the last few years, the fields need to grow. It's hard to get. Sorry, I'm just reading Snowman.
Who let Snowman in here? Fuck sakes.
It's so it's a crapshoot whether you get, like, even me. We rode around in that first field. We rode around for a bit. It was super wet. It was decent, but it was wet. That second field, me and Kale both kind of hit it at the same time, and we got really good launches. And just, I mean, it was probably the best I've ever felt on it. Like, it was just pulling, holding. I skipped across all those big deep spots where everybody's stuck, and I literally got to the other side. My chest was out to here, and I was like, cool, I did what I came to do. There you go. And I went out and had a beer. I was like, because everybody gets stuck. It doesn't matter. It's whatever. But you're only going to get so many really good pulls. It gets beat to snot. The later in the day, the more chaos happens, the more back and forth, and there's so many bikes out in that field that it becomes, I really sound like an old man, but it becomes dangerous almost, really, because like there's some people out there, and I've done it. I've kind of ran over a few winch lines, but there's some people out there that maybe shouldn't be out there. And I don't mean riding ability. I mean just their mental state or physical state at that time. People's heads aren't always on a swivel. So you got people going this left and right. You got people running like east and west, north and south, cutting across. And and like a lot of the OG guys, like Colin, ATV, like Job, are a few of our guys. I mean, I'm bad for it, and which is why I watch how many runs and stuff I'm doing. But like, if you're not watching, you're like, it's close to hitting people a lot. I mean, I almost ran right into some dude because I was skipping across and he was kind of coming, and I hit Colin actually in the spring. But so it's kind of like you get a couple good ones and you're just like, hey, that's cool. I did it. Like, but we're spoiled because we can go up there, a few times a year. It's not quite the same as say like Ostercruiser, like where Dave and those guys ride. It's a trail. There's a meadow, and then there's a trail with muskeg patches, and then muskeg sections, but it's a one direction. You hit it, you loop back. I mean, it's a full day by the look of it, and it's only like 5 or 8K or something. Don't quote me, but I think I understand it right. It's only 5 or 8 kilometers. It's not crazy, but it's a trek to get through it. But you're one way. Everybody, you do your run, you hit, you do your pull, and then you move over to the side, and then the next guy goes, and then once everybody kind of gets through, you have a beverage break, and then so that kind of thing, I'd be more interested in for like, I think I'd be more excited for the riding because it's just, where you're going. It's like anywhere where you got like a destination, right? And you're hitting it. For us, we're just going to a big field, and it's, by 1 o'clock or so, you're kind of like, okay, I've had my fill. Like you're of like, you still enjoy the ride, but I mean, you're just kind of, I could care less about more pulls.
Because you're in the same field all day, seeing the same thing over and over again. But if you went out to Saskatchewan, you're constantly going straight to new destinations each time and just playing in the Skeg. And that's one thing that when we got there, that field was already tore to shit. I mean, that wasn't like the first field where everything was nice and fresh and nobody was in it. I feel like that last field we went to, or the second one we went to, where we all stuck around, like, that's getting hit once a week, and it's not getting time to regrow. Whereas in Saskatchewan, they hit the trail once a year, maybe May long, and then they might hit it again Skegtober, or they'll do another spot. Like, they give it time to regrow so that when they go back, it looks like nobody's ever been there, and then not everybody's getting stuck as soon as they enter.
Yeah, and it's I want to say kind of, but it's our own fault as a group maybe, because Lingham used to be like a once a year like big ride thing. It all started with ATV, Job and Nos ATVs, where they do their May long one, and they go there because they rode it all. If you watch all their videos, I mean, those fields used to be nice, and then people started to go a little bit, but then it was, I'm going to say 2019. That's kind of when I got to know Colin. Maybe it was 2018, I forget. But Brian, Muddin for Parts, came up with me, another buddy. We went up, and Joshy, Nick, Flurry, like that crew, kind of from, I think they're Havelock, or that area, but they met, and there was only like 15 of us. Like it was smallish. We went in like July or something. It was awesome. It was wet and tough, but there was fields, and you could rip everywhere because people would hit a field and go. And then it seemed like all of a sudden once, and then people like us, these small groups started going, it was like, oh, we can access this place. It's not this like hidden gem anymore. So let's go. And then by like 2020, COVID hit. Everybody and their brother bought a bike because you couldn't do anything but outside. So, I mean, we all know trying to get parts or bikes from like the dealers was a nightmare. So then that blew up, and then it was like every weekend. Like if you look back into people's stories, anybody who has an ATV that's Ontario-ish, just it'll be like every weekend. Like
Oh, just search tag hashtag Lingham Lake, and I guarantee you'll see someone there every weekend. But what I think I was telling Grim this, even though it's not your guys' land, like you should really try to keep two fields as event fields. You know what I mean? Let them regrow, and then there's so many other fields out there other people can hit. They don't have to hit the best fields that you guys use for, or anybody, or yeah, you guys use for massive events. It'd be nice if there was some way to keep people off it every week, off one or two fields, just so that when the events come, like May Long or the one that you were talking about, the one that with Job and Nos, and then your Skegtober one, it'd be mint. It'd have time to regrow, and it'd be an awesome day. Not as soon as you get there, it's all tore to hell and it's
so
all soup.
that's the first time we've hit that field in. I mean, people have attempted, and you get in like 15, 20 feet, and then it's like, oh, this is too wet. Fuck it. Turn around, go the other way. That's probably, I mean, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but the fields, like that field hasn't been hit, I bet you, in over a year, and you could tell. Now, they got a shit ton of rain, so it is what it is. It's wet. If we wouldn't have gotten all the rain the week before, we probably wouldn't have left that field for half the day, because that field used to be just amazing, which probably by next year it will, because we didn't really tear it up. If you look at, again, shameless plug for Brian, but if you watch his new video, you'll see, like, you can see where we were riding, and yeah, entering, there's some effed up spots, but like outside of that, there's just like 4 or 5 patches, but there's still like miles of that field. So I think, you know, a warm spring or a warm fall like we're getting, and depending on how winter and spring goes, if they get a relatively dryish spring, that field will be prime like for next year. And you can usually get, like, depending on the rain and how it is, you can usually get a season, like a pretty good season out of it. That field, the second field we were in, that one we were there this summer in August, and it was pretty dry, and it was more or less like a wet grass wheelie field, play field with spots in it. So it was more like a drag, just with kind of whatever, but just it hadn't had a chance to grow. It basically went from dry to just wet, and then, you know, not a ton of sun or anything, so it can't. It should, but so it would be nice, but I mean, again, it's crown land, so people can use it kind of however they want.
Yeah, but usually the people that use it, they have a bike Instagram, and they either follow Job or Colin or Allison. So I mean, if they would definitely, you can't just usually. I mean, I know where I'm from. When we do find Skeg, it's never been touched, because the odds of you riding near somebody that has a big enough bike to even attempt it is slim to none. But when you go down there where you guys are, everybody has a built Renegade with big old assassinators, and down here we just don't. My bike's big down here. When I went to your guys' house or seen your bike, I was like, okay, this isn't fucking fair. I'm going home.
Yeah, it really blew up here, like insanely big. Like when I started building my Outlander in like 2018, end of 2018 into like 19, kind of that winter is when I kind of figured stuff out. I really didn't know anything about it, so it was watching videos and talking to people. I didn't really know what I was doing. Like build wise, it was kind of like trial and error, and jump on, you know, every board, every forum, which sifting through that shit is, when you know nothing, it's like, it's insane, because you're like, oh, this is crap. Oh, this is good. Oh, this is crap. Oh, this is good. And you're just like, and then you have to like break it down and be like, oh, this guy's in Florida. and rides water and sand. This guy's in Texas and rides like this peanut butter clay. And then you have to like, yeah, there's consistencies on building it, but like it depends on what your terrain is. So like everybody laughs at us down here because we all have like 3 sets of tires. Everybody will bust my chops about it, but you kind of really need them here because the riding is very, very different in Ontario within like 2 hours or even an hour of where you live. So depending on what you're riding, it can change like drastically. And especially where we are down here, like we do a ton of road burning. We do a ton of like rail bed, side road, like, so like everybody in our group had assassinators at some point, like for our tire. That's the tire we run, assassinators, da, da, da. And then after like a year of riding, we were like, man, these things suck. Now, they're amazing, but they suck if you're riding clay, if you're trying to climb out of steep holes, if you're burning down tracks and hard pack and all that kind of stuff. They're great if you live up north and yeah, okay, on trails they're whatever, but as soon as you jump into like a swamp or a muskeg or like peat moss type of material, nothing works really like it. So then you're, okay, what tire do I want for an all-around tire? And then you try and find something. And then we all do the same thing. We all buy assassinators and throw them on the shelf. And then every time we go muskeg riding, we put them on. And then 90% of the time we run, most of us run like Moto Havocs or Aztecs. They seem to be the kind of, they seem to be the 2 tires of choice that kind of work everywhere for around here. I don't know. Doesn't mean they're the best, but it seems.
Yeah, because even Dan said if it would have been drier, if you guys wouldn't have got all that rain, he would have preferred the Moto Havocs over the Assassinators in the Skeg.
Yeah, because they will work, for sure. We had a buddy that had a XXC Renegade for a long time, and he only ran 31 Havocs. That's all he ran ever. And the wheel speed that kid created was just insane. They didn't work great when it was really wet because you're not getting like that 3-inch lug to kind of like shovel it. But like if it was dry-ish at all, man, the wheel speed's a hell of a lot different. Like a lot different. Like even the Aztecs, when we go up north to like Muskoka, because trail and stuff, if we're gonna do like a full day there, we'll run. I'll run these all day, and they work like the Aztecs, and they work mint in the Skeg too. Like they work. Joshy actually, Guderos, he's got them at 34.5, I think, and it doesn't matter the conditions. He seems to rip with them. So the Assassinators just got a little bit more, obviously. But I mean, it takes a rider too. You still got to know what the hell you're doing. Like it's not just get in the Skeg and pin it. There's some, technique to it, but.
Yeah, and I learned pretty quickly. Like I've only ever really ran Assassinators and on crush locks, and I'm just tired of it. I mean, because it's the same thing around here. I mean, they're great in our type of mud down here, especially the crush locks. But as soon there's too much trail driving to get to the spots, and you go through a set of Assassinators a year, and it's like that's $1,700 a year if you don't have like a dealer that you get it from, or you don't use N2Y tire or Life Outdoors or Rebco. Like shit's expensive, dude.
Yeah.
I'm finally Monday. I have tires coming.
The crush locks, you got a bottom to hit.
I couldn't even crawl in Skegtober.
Pardon?
I couldn't stand beside my bike and slowly crawl on top of the Skeg. Those skinny little tires just wanted to go, you know what, I want to go down to the bottom. And then It's like, sorry, bud, there's no bottom for you to grab onto.
Yeah, when I had my 36s on, because they're only a 7.5 inch, and then you got to run them on like a 5 or 6 inch wide rim. So when it's dry-ish, man, there was nothing. They moved so fast, and you just bounced and skipped over stuff, and the momentum, like they would just hold, and they were awesome. But when it was wet, you asked Dan and Brian, because they hated me, and you couldn't even burp the throttle to get it to raw and go. And same thing, because they're not a crush lock, but they're, when your tire's 7 inches wide, like it's, and then it's on rim, it just cut. Like the one field we got through, the only reason we got through it was Brian sat, it was so wet, Brian sat or stood on my rad relocate to keep my bike kind of like this. And we just kind of like rah, 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 and we're like riding around. I think he's got a video of it on one of them. But because they just wanted to cut. And then the first ride I did on like a normal size rim and my 34s, I was just like, oh my God, this is heaven. And they float. And you could burp it out. Unless you were like buried to your frame and the bottom's just sitting in soup, like your back tires are in soup. But if you could get any kind of traction in the front, so that's like, there's something to be said for like, a decent footprint of a tire on the Muskeg.
Yeah, like you need a good surface area. I mean, there was guys there with stock Polarises and stock Hondas or stock K&Ms on cryptids, and because they had that big surface area, they were having the time of their lives out there, just just going. And I'm like, fuck, what's the point in this built motor if I can't even get up to acceleration to fucking go anywhere?
Yeah, well, there's something to be said. I mean, we laugh about it because even there was what's his name, Jordan, I think. He's got a XXC, and I think it was in the summer, or it might have been in the spring when he was out there. But he had like the stock XXC tires on it, and tires were spinning a million miles an hour. He wasn't really moving that fast. But because they're kind of fat and stuff, he's just like, rah, 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 rah. It was like, son of a, like, there's something to be said. And I mean, you watch like Ostercruiser's videos and stuff, like the speed's not the same, but there's lots of tires that get through Muskeg. But if you look at most of them, there's some sort of footprint there. Right?
And you see, that's why I thought I was going to be fine, because every time off the post I watch, and Jamie from the mod shop, he runs crush locks. Yes. So I was like, okay, he's doing it down there. Like, I should be fine. Like, it didn't even cross my mind. Like, I have so many friends down here that have 32 assassinators or 30-inch assassinators that I easily could have slapped on my bike, but I didn't know what I was getting into. It was my first time ever playing in that type of Skeg or even any type of Skeg. So it was kind of just a big slap in the face.
I asked you about that. I was like, man, how do they work? He's like, well, I run some air in them. But he's also got a 1085 with stage 4 cams, or some weird cam that nobody else really has that he's designing. The nitrous, whatever. Like the wheel speed that he's creating, he's literally skimming on top of everything. I think that bike has like 100 because we were trying to figure some stuff out, because when I did mine, because mine's only stage 1 cams, and I'm making about the same horsepower as a lot of the stage 2s and 3s, depending. It's close. Very, very close. Like 2-3 horse difference, which for the amount of work, which Jay will tell you as well, that, head work and stuff you have to do to fit the stage 2s and 3s and springs and all the rest of it, it's not that much. Then we realized, because they run out of air up there when he's dynoing it, where they are at sea level.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it's only reading so much horsepower, but I have a strong feeling that the torque and all the rest of that is where, you know what I mean? Like, so I would guess, like, if he brought his bike here, it's probably making like 140 something.
Oh, yeah.
Like at the crank. I know Burv's he hasn't dynoed his yet, but by like testing and different things they've done, I think shit, I think he's like 135 or something. Like it's insane. So I think there's some room for um, error, we'll call it, with the tire choice because he's just moving so fast.
And I
'Cause,
think he is running a 30 horsepower dry shot because I was talking to him and they're gonna support me during race season in 2023. I was about to sell my dry nitrous kit. Remember, I was talking to you because I wanted you to find me a wet, and he was like, "Man, that's what I run is wet. I mean, all you got to do is send over your current Power Commander map, and I will create you a dry nitrous one, pull your timing and
yeah,
everything like that, and you can just slap it on your Power
just run.
Commander and then use your map switch and then hook it up to your button and you're golden." And I was like, "Oh, thank God," because I really love the two bottle kind of look. I don't
Yeah,
want the one bottle. I like how it sits there now. So the fact that I don't have to unhook anything and I can just slap it on and then go. Oh, I'm so happy now. So shout out Jamie at Mod Shop.
pretty awesome.
Customer support. You won't find better customer support. I mean, when Lee built the motor, they made sure all the valve guides were a certain thou away and the cams fit perfectly, and like they would stay on the phone with you for an hour and just like make sure that everything was to a T.
Yeah, yeah. He helped us a lot. Like Jason has a lot of mechanical know-how for roofs, like building stuff. But it's all those little things, like how much to grind out of the head, and you can figure that stuff out. But when you got somebody's motor apart, like you're not just taking a grinder Dremel and just like it's not yours. You know what I mean? Somebody else's shit. So there's, you got to of what you're doing, and yes, you can redneck it and make it work, but like it's somebody else's bike, and you want to make sure it's done right. And there's with other companies where I've had some issues with and said like, and they're like, oh, I don't know, take it to. I'm like, yeah, I understand I have to take it to a dyno, but what I'm asking you is ABC. Can you give me answer E or D? Like, can you fill in some blanks here because I'm blind? Called Jamie. I called him the one day from the dyno, and I'm like, oh, this and that. 2 hours. The 2 hours I was on the dyno, he was like, oh, just leave me on the phone. So I just left him on the phone. He's like, oh, what are you hitting now? Oh, what are you hitting? Holy shit. Okay, that's good. Pull timing here. Try this. Da, 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 da. So him and my guy were like tuning stuff together. So, um, but so yeah. Anyway, sorry. Um, he sent me like I don't know how many photos, every angle of the head, of the arms, how they should be ground to clear the lobe and this and that. And he made it like he took all the anxiety. It's one thing to put it together. It's another thing to put it together and not go like when you hit the start button, right?
Yeah.
Like we're when we button it up and start it, the only thing we're worried about is fuel. Like, does this have enough fuel? Is the map right and with enough fuel to get this thing to run in heat cycle? And is the battery strong enough to turn it? Because just about every bike we've done, we've had to put a new battery in or charge the thing. Oh, there's my wife doing recycling. Um, but so like that's the only thing we've kind of come across. But when you got somebody else's motor opened up, like it's pretty stressful to like have this chunk of aluminum that if you bugger up, like I don't know what a set of heads is, like I don't know, what are they, $1,200, $1,400? Like I mean I've never screwed a set up, so I don't know, but like they're not cheap, and if you screw somebody's stuff up, you're paying for a new one. So it's but they were like awesome. They made it so easy. Like it literally is. So I think we've done like 5 now, 4 or 5, and a couple stage 2s, a couple stage 1s. Um, Part of me is kind of sad I didn't go stage 2. After riding a couple of them, I was like, it's a little more little more like oomph in the bottom. Um, it's it's but then it's like, well, if you're gonna go stage 2, you might as well go stage 3. Like, if you're gonna do it, don't do a half-ass.
But the only reason, maybe you can put this myth to bed. The
Yeah,
only reason I didn't go at a higher stage because I had friends that ran a higher stage, and they rode like shit on the trail. You know, like the tune was perfect for when they were drag racing because these were like drag bikes.
yeah.
It was perfect on when you're just giving it. But then once I got in the trail and tried to just have a nice day of riding, the thing was acting like garbage
Was it
because it
a
came.
stage 2?
Hmm?
Was it Mod Shop stage 2?
Yeah, it was a. Oh no, it wasn't Mod Shop. It was Jeff Bomb Racing. Sorry.
Oh, started on those camps, but although I shouldn't say that because we put him in Jay's bike and his bike is an animal. So I think my bike just stupid. It needs you to do everything twice and then it's happy. Um, so I've drank the Kool-Aid, so I'm going to sound like I'm some paid ambassador, but I think Mod Shop. So what Mod Shop does different, from my understanding, I could be paraphrasing, but from what I understand is and seen with building them is Mod Shop does their own R&D, does their own technical work, but then gets companies that they consider the best at what they do to manufacture their product. So Mod Shop cams are web cams. He
Yeah,
doesn't pretend they're not. He doesn't private label it. When it shows up,
it's in webcam, and they come as webcam stickers.
and his thing is, why not let one of the best cam companies in the world build me my camshaft to my spec? So I know he spent a lot of money, like one-off things, and then changing them. What I think people do as well, and I think it's based on your tuner, not the tuner you're running, the physical tuner, the person doing the bike, is my bike will probably make 3 to 5 more horse if I want it to. The problem being is these machines, I don't care what anybody says, they are not made to run at 100%. Why can you flash your bike and go from 64 horse to like 71 with no changes? Get some good clutching so that you actually get power transferred to the wheels, and then open up your fuel map and get it to run better, cooler, your timing, all that. Because they're not designed to run at 100%, because running it at 100% all the time, it's not, there's no longevity in that. So I think what a lot of people do is they tune their bike to where it runs peak. That's fine if you do 2 Skeg rides a year where you hold it wide 35 seconds, pull over, have a beer, sit there for 20 minutes, the bike cools down, you fire it back up and do it again. I think when you take a built motor and then you ride it all day, long periods of time, lots of heat, up and down, fans kicking off, kicking on, kicking off, in the mud, out of the mud, high, low revs, high revs, low gear, lugging the motor on a hill climb or a rocky trail, then wide open down a or a rail bed or something. I think that's where people run into those problems, is they tune it right to its limit.
Yeah.
There's the other thing too, is a lot of guys won't tune. Again, shameless plug. My guy here, Niagara Dyno, is really good at, he will tune it wide open and stuff, have you go run it, then usually wants you to bring it back. And then he'll roll through the RPM at 30% throttle, 40% throttle, the blips and the little burps where it may miss, and see what it's doing there, and then adjust the map. I mean, you've seen these maps. They're like,
oh, they're don't even bother looking at them unless you know what you're doing, because it's just one big confusing mess.
Looking at certain things, I know percentages roughly, but when I get that huge map, I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. Like I can't read this through it. So I think some of that is just like playing kind of the long game and tuning it. Like it took me, and this is no like me making it up like, oh, this was so hard, but you can ask anybody in my group. I'm going to say I started tuning first time I did it, and I did like a Maverick motor conversion, like the high compression Maverick pistons and stuff last February, like not this 2021 February. And I bet you it took me almost to August to get it like where it was tuned and running good. Like, and that was a nightmare. Like it just did all kinds of weird things. It made horsepower, but then it's just how it ran, how it felt. Like it. So the good thing though was, and that was the other reason why I didn't want to change cams, is everybody thinks that the big bore kit gives you all this magic power, which displacement, sure, more power, yes, but the camshaft does a lot of that. Like it's I saw most of my gains from the camshaft and exhaust versus the big bore kit. Like the big bore kit at the wheels, like the actual 85 jugs, gave me about another 6 or 7, which is, I mean, that's a lot at the wheels. But I probably got that 6 or 7 as well out of the camshaft and like camshaft, tuning it, and the full header and exhaust. So when we went to tune it for the big bore, it was just a matter of cleaning up the fuel. We really didn't change a lot of the map. We just kind of, from what I understand, the map just grew for percentage of fuel, just to offset the displacement. But your airflow in and all that, like you still have the same throttle body. Your camshaft's doing the same lobe and thing. It's just now you've got more boom, from the bigger piston and stuff. So now that being said, though, when I drove it down the road, it was a massive difference and how it held RPM, and how quick it got there, and then how long it held the RPM. It really made a big difference from like before, it started making close to peak power at like 77, 78 and hold it to like 85, 87, somewhere in there. And it was a couple horsepower one way or the other. And then, kind of did this, and then, that hard drop. When we work hit and we did all that, that slope went straight up closer to like 6,800 RPM and then held to like $9,000. And there was only like a 4 horsepower difference up or down between like peak horsepower either way. So it's kind of like you're always in that, quote unquote power band.
So when are you making your peak power? What RPM are you making your absolute peak?
8450, 8550, like 85-ish, 84-ish.
I believe I'm 85. I'm like 85, 86-ish is what Jamie told me with the big bore and the cam. It's like you kind of want your shift out anywhere between 85 and 86, and then try to hold it right there, and you'll just get that peak power. But I meant to ask you, I don't know if I did. If I did, I don't remember. Did you notice a massive difference from that Mod Shop full exhaust?
I found, so at wide open throttle, not really. If I said I did, I'd be lying. I noticed it. I noticed it between like initial, 4,000, 5,000, whatever, like when you that first whack, just how much smoother it felt getting from there to peak. That's where I felt like it gave me the most, where like my like Empire and you can just throw it up there now. I'll do it for you. I think my wife just wants to be on what? I my Empire was solid. I think I had RJWC headers. Yeah, RJWC headers and dual Empires. So definitely you lose out at the bottom with the duals. I mean, they've proven it time and time again. The single is better. But yes, yes, I know she's too pretty. I'm way out of my league. But it's just how it pulled kind of at the bottom. But I mean, that being said, again, it's not rocket science. That's why they went with a like super trap style, so that you can dial that in to kind of how it works for what you're doing. Because that's the other thing too. Every time we do a kit, it comes with a bunch of plates. If the guy pipe, lose you there? Oh, you're.
Oh,
You all right?
I called, no, I called Snowman. Yeah, you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I called Snowman a whore in the comment section, and then it said like immediately said your comment has been removed for fucking bullying. So it popped up and then froze the whole screen, and I'm like, I'm just being honest, man. Like, oh, that was awesome. Man, they caught that so quick.
They're worried about important things in the world, like Jesus.
That is the second time I have been in trouble for harassment and bullying.
But yeah, I noticed a big difference. Like at the bottom, the other thing, my eardrum, because it's a lot quieter. I mean, it's still loud. Don't get me wrong. It's a big fight, but it's he's offended. Okay, Chris. But I like it. I like how easy it is to clean and stuff too. The only thing that sucks is it makes me feel like I blew up my motor every time I ride it down here and I leave it sit, because the clay builds up inside and I don't think about it. And when you rev your motor, all these puffs come out and I'm like, oh, there goes the head gasket, because it's blowing all this shit out, but it's just dry dirt. It's just blowing dust out because it sits in the, even when you clean it, it just, because there's no packing to hold it or anything really, right? So it just rattles around until you blow it all out. But
yeah,
I like it a lot. Yeah, it's not the prettiest looking thing, but it works. It sounds good under throttle. It doesn't kill my ears. I like the tunability. You can quiet it down quite a bit. I did notice when I did play with the plates, my RPM actually dropped, like my top RPM, but the hit out of the bottom was, I mean, you can make it hit hard because it's just got all that back pressure and it's raw. It goes, but you'll bar it, you'll see your RPM kind of go, whoa, and then it just sits there and it's like, okay, I can't.
Yeah, because I'm even they're gonna do my throttle body as well, because the exhaust is gonna take a month to build and get done. So I was talking to Jamie, as I always do, and I just want questions because I don't know nothing about motors, or I'm only not even 3 years into it. So I just like to talk to people that know what they're doing, and I kind of pick up along the way. And I told him my throttle body was 46 millimeters, and he was like, well, that's a problem. He's like, you need to get that to 51 as soon as possible because you're just losing throttle response and power right there. And I was like, all right, went and bought a used throttle body off an 800 for $80 and sent it off so that way they can quickly bore it out and send it back with the pipe and then get some more extra horsepower with the pipe.
Yeah, that's one thing. I think it was like, I think I was making like mid 80s, and then the pipe, when I changed, yeah, because we ran it same tune. It was like mid 80s, and then we ran it before the big bore. But and then when I threw the pipe on it, it was like no changes at all. Just did a base run just to see where we were at, and it was like 88. and then it allowed a lot more tuning. Just because of how it flowed, they could do a lot more tuning, and that's where I think I was like 91 or something like that, about 91, like with the stage 1 cam, the exhaust.
So what are you pushing now, if you don't mind telling the people?
98.7 or something. Like he got it up over 90. I think we kept blowing up gearboxes on it on the dyno too. So I think it was like 99 point something, and we were trying to, but I got nervous about blowing stuff up. So I think the last tune was like 98.7, but it's like, it's happy there. Like it's super happy. It's not starving for fuel, air, nothing. It's good. So, it was 7 and a bit horse, just adding the jugs. So, I mean, that's a lot on a small motor at the wheels, right? Like that's the actual wheel horsepower numbers.
So have you ever used an auto tuner? Because that's all a lot of people maybe not a lot of people, but outside Ontario or bigger places, that's our only option. You know what I mean? Like I don't have nobody around that has ATV dynos or knows anything about tuning for a power commander. So I just had to run the auto tuner to tune my bike slowly.
I have not, but I will say this about them. So Brad at Niagara Dyno, he did full pull spike, and his buddy, oh God, what's his name, with the Outlander, that was just running through nitrous like it was his job in Skegtober. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm forgetting his name. But it's full pulls, buddy. Full Send XMR, maybe? I think it's Full Send. But it was that Audi with the bottles, and he ran all day. He gave no fucks about anything. And I'm pretty sure he burnt through at least one bottle that day. So he ran an auto tune. And so when Full Pull and when they brought theirs down here to tune them, when he put Full Pulls on, he really couldn't do anything to it because the auto tune had it that close. Like it was that close. And I think so really they used the dyno just to compare, make sure that the readings were like what it's reading was accurate, and give them a horsepower number. But Brad said it was like, he's like, I couldn't do anything better. He's like, I really couldn't make it better. So whatever Dyno Jet has in that auto tune, it makes sense. It works because his was and that's the guy who's running the dyno who can
get paid. Yeah.
Get paid. I mean, literally, I think he did like 2 or 3. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure he only did a couple pulls, and he's like, well, this is a waste of time. You're dialed. Maybe cleaned up ignition timing a little bit because just that, but I don't really think he did much to it. And like I said, that's Brad he's super honest, but he could be saying, oh, let me play with this and let me play with that. Cause I mean, you can tweak a dyno to have it say whatever you want it to. Right. So
yeah, cause that's even what Jamie said at Mod Shop. He had no problem with me using the auto tuner, but I finally found someone that can dyno the bike down this way. So I finally want to, I'm just curious because I only built the 840 because I have a bunch of friends that race in like Miramichi and New Brunswick and places like that, like doing drags and the circle track racing. And they said that 840s are like, if you can build it right and tune it properly, I mean, they hit. So I'd be curious to see where my horsepower lies.
I would guess like mid 80s, like high mid 80s. But what you got to remember, and again, this is my limited knowledge, but learned through actually doing Nick's bike, Gamblers, with Jason, because one of his pistons seized, and so we pulled the top end, and I had extra top ends, obviously, because doesn't everybody?
No.
So dumb. So we were just going to slap in the 1000, and he had a tune, so we just slap a 1000 tune on it and send it, and then realize that 850s are completely different. So why the 840 works so good in drag racing? Again, this is my limited knowledge, and I'm sure in the comments people can correct me, but it is a bigger piston, like fatter. The jugs are actually like, you take a 1000 thing, it falls in like a, like a hot dog down the hallway. um, and it's a shorter stroke. So the torque that comes out of it is massive. So that bottom end hit is just like grab you by the balls and send you. And as we all know, in a drag race, it's 100 feet or whatever it is, 200 feet, whatever those mud pits are. So how quick you can get out of the hole and to top speed and go. I mean, I remember seeing here a couple years ago, there used to be some drags locally, and those eight all just rip. Like they just send it. Like they move so hard, so fast. Like it's pretty badass. But so I don't know horsepower wise, and from old boards and stuff I saw, I would guess you're probably in the mid 80s. But I think that torque number is the more impressive number.
And I want to make a comment because I'm not allowed to make it in the comments, so I'll get reported again. But you kind of just described Snowman perfectly. Hot dog down the hallway, and you can only get short strokes.
That's funny.
Yeah, but that's what Jamie said. Jamie said I'd be around, like right around 90 without the nitrous. That's with the pipe and the throttle body bored out, of course. Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of all I really want because, like, I don't like going fast. I mean, I got rid of my R1 because I have a kid at home, and if I never see over 100 kilometers an hour, which is where my bike max is out at now with the clutching and everything, I'll be banging 8,600 RPM. It'll just hit 100, and then it'll come to a dead stop, and it'll just stay there and just just go. And then so
joke about it all the time with the guys. I'm like, I couldn't ride a stock machine, so it's dumb. It's kind of dumb, but it's fun. I mean, it's cool. They sound good. They move pretty good. The biggest thing I noticed is like when you're well like under load, it just keeps moving. Like it just keeps kind of digging. It doesn't kind of fall on its face at all. Not that it's stocked, when they're tuned and clutch right. And I mean, look at Brian and Brandon, or not Brandon. That's a Polaris. That doesn't. Vengeance is there any of the guys, right? Like they work. It's that little bit more. To be totally honest with you, last weekend we rode up around my area and where I grew up in Wainfleet, and there was like 2 spots where it made like a difference having all this horsepower. Other than that, like when you're in a mud hole and you launch in and do your rah and kind of wheelie in, if you didn't get a good run or you didn't skim the first half, which all of these bikes will stock even, like then it's just how much ground clearance you got, how good your tires are biting. So I don't really realize the horsepower unless you're like drag racing down the road.
Yeah.
In a mud pit, like drag racing, which again, if it's super deep and thick, really go on how much traction you're getting. Or in the muskeg, like those 3 spots, which are only a couple times a year. And, we've kind of limited how much we race down the road just because bad shit happens at those times, right? Like bad stuff doesn't happen. Really bad stuff doesn't happen at 50, 60 kilometers an hour, usually.
And I had my 650 for 2 years, and I never crashed it at all. And I've been on I've been on 4 rides with my new motor, and in 2 of them I went ass over tea kettle over the handlebars. So I mean, I can't ride for shit. I mean, there's too much horsepower for me to really. I'm happy where I am now,
Yeah.
but just don't skim in 2-wheel drive and watch out for rocks, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. But yeah, it's good. It's fun. I was like a car guy, import guy, like way back.
Yeah, like back when you were taking pictures in the Walmart parking lot with Polaroid cameras instead of iPhones.
Legitimately, yes. Fast Furious. So what are they at now? Like 64 or something like that? So
I think they might be coming up on 69, and there's a lot of jokes being made about it.
like I've been a tinkerer, whether it was necessary or not. So I think that's why I just kind of was like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. And there's so many things now available that weren't, right? Like it's so easy, and there's so much. Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation, but not like there used to be. There's a lot of good information out there, and the community is. It's very different than like the car scene I find, or different scenes, is where like I have no problem someone's quad being nicer than mine, being faster than mine, being whatever. You're like excited for it. Like you're like, yeah, but whatever, da 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 da. Let me help. We all build. Like I remember when Brian brought his out last year, when he kind of did his like reveal of Smash with the wrap and the powder coating and all the new shit. And I was like, it's my kid's favorite ATV. And like, I couldn't post enough. I couldn't do, like, none of us could. Like, the whole group was just like, oh my God, whatever. Like, it's very different.
There he is there, Fleeter. He just joined. Full send XMR.
Oh, yeah. So like, that's the fun part about this stuff, is like you're building for yourself, and yeah, it's cool. And I mean, I don't care what anybody says. When I post a picture of my fancy painted motor, I'm showing people I'm doing whatever. It's ego. When you post like cool stuff that you did, whatever, it's ego, but it kind of stops like there. Like beyond that, you don't care. It's that one post, it's whatever. You want, like Brandon said it best. I forget. I don't know if we were at his garage or at a ride or something, but we were just hanging out, and he was like, "That's what's super fun about like our group, is everybody's built something a little bit different, or as much as you can, with a bunch of renegades mostly, but like everybody's pumped, and everybody's kind of had a hand in some way. We've all helped or done something on somebody else's bike in some way to make it better. There's never that like, oh, I don't like, Dan got this, so I got to get this now so that I'm faster, or Brian got this because I got this, or whatever. And it's like, nobody cares. Like, we'll have hour-long conversations clutching when somebody doesn't have a good, something's not working, to help that other person, like, so that their bike runs optimally. And if it runs better than mine, high five. Like, we're pumped over it, because now his is killing it. So now it's like, okay, what do we do? Can you make ours better? How can you do? So it's very different that way, which is kind of cool too, right? Because it's the community thing, cliche and like a buzzword, but it's pretty good. I'm sure, like, if you do, but I do. Lots of the guys, lots of DMs from people that are new to it, or young kids, or people, and you're like, yeah, man, ask away. Oh, I don't want to bother you, and I'm like, what do you mean bother me?
Well, I was the same way when as soon as I got my QSC, you were the first person I messaged, and I was like, I feel like I'm bothering him. Like, he probably gets a lot of messages like this. He doesn't really know me that well yet. And I was like, but me and Dilly talked about it on the way home, and that was probably our favorite thing about your group, is that you could talk about your bikes. Like, there's so many other groups out there where it's a fucking competition, and they think you're cocky, or they don't want to hear it because then they get jealous, or they think you're a douchebag. Whereas when we came down to your crew, everybody was talking about their bikes and ways to make it better, and then different ways to get sponsors, and like you guys build each other up instead of tearing down the person that's trying to get up. You know what I mean? Like it was such a breath of fresh air.
Well, like going to that point. Um, so Chris Kostiff, who runs our South of Six,
And
um,
that is all he runs because he does not ride. Just want to put
yeah,
that out there.
he takes a lot. He's good in a onesie. You should see him in a spandex onesie. It's hot. Um, and Brian, so they work with Fintrail, obviously, and they kind of gave up some things on our behalf. I mean, I was back and forth with them a bit. I'll be honest, they preferred my wife to me, which is kind of weird, but no, I care of my wife, but they Brian and him could have just said, "Here you go. Here's your stuff. Party on. Send us pictures. Do your thing. You're ambassadors. You're this. You're that. You got pages. You got content. Thank you very much." And they, Brian especially, was like, "That's cool, but I not really what I want. So here's really take care of my group. We're a crew. We're a team, we're friends, and everybody at my table eats. I don't get fat on my own." And so he brokered a deal for all of us, whoever wants to be involved in it, to so that we were all taken care of.
Yeah.
And that postponed his kind of full deal by a lot, like time wise. But he was like, "Listen, man, like I have some stuff. I can buy stuff if I need it. Like it's nice to have the support, and more it's just the support of the publicity and pushing your name out there, which then helps you get other sponsors or other supporters or other deals. Um, if you got in the sport, you have to at least have some money because it ain't cheap. So most can at least afford to keep ourselves running if you're into it. I mean, so it's not like you have to have it, but it's really nice. And then having one leads to, like, people always say, "Oh, look at this guy's got so many sponsors," but you don't know how hard he worked to get that first one. And then once you build a relationship, then you have something to call on when you go to Belite Wheels or whoever and be like, "Hey, I work with this company. If you want to see what I do, check my page, check this. Call them for reference. Call this shop. Call these people. Here's what I can do for you. Here's how loyal I am." You're marketing yourself. So, but like they took a chance basically at losing free shit to be like, "Well, here's what the minimum we want for the rest of our crew if we're going to jump on board." So, I mean, that says like that speaks volumes about like the character of the build everybody up, right? Bring everybody with you rather than just, hang out and get free shit and screw everybody else.
Yeah, and I'm going to give a little bit of a shout out here to that crew from 902. Now, I started that page for that exact reason, what you were just saying. It's kind of based off South of Six crew and Deep and Dirty Valley boys. I want people, like, we're not big down here in Nova Scotia, you know what I mean? Like, we're not even close to you guys. Like, not even like I can't even see you guys because you guys are so far above when it comes to the built bikes and everything. So I really wanted to start it because I want to bring some people up. Like I'm not being cocky and saying I'm going to the top, but this is pretty much my life outside of my work and my wife and my kid. Like,
Yeah.
I love this shit. I mean, going and driving to see you guys was the third best memory in my life besides the wife and the kid being born. Like, and then I'm going to Saskatchewan, and then I'm going to a Super ATV bounty event in South Carolina next year. It's like I'm like, this shit's my life. And like someone like Diesel Dilly, shout out Diesel Dilly, but he didn't know how to put an @ and tag a company or anything in his Instagram before Skegtober. I taught him the morning of Skegtober. Like, if you look at his older posts, it's just him posting a picture. There's no hashtags. There's no ats. And the guy can ride, man, and he's
Oh yeah.
crazy, but nobody could see his shit because he wasn't tagging anything. And so there's so many guys like that down here that aren't very tech savvy, or they're not very good at posting cool pictures, or they don't really know what to do. And I just want to kind of, I'm not saying I'm the best, but I feel like I've got a good handle on it, and I can kind of teach those guys, like, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, and like just follow the lead, and we'll just create this page and we'll start building people up as a family instead of just.
It's good. I mean, that's kind of what we did, right? Like ours started kind of as a, I don't want to say a joke, but like Colin and Joe and Keith, and I think it was like Job's brother, and there was a bunch of guys, Brandon, and there's a few, not my brand, not our brand, my Brandon, my bitch. But Keith's probably future son-in-law, I'm guessing. But so it was like we were thinking of the name, and we kind of joked about south of 6 because they're north of 7. But it wasn't like a straight bite. It was like a joke bite kind of thing, and then it just stuck. And we were like, oh, whatever. And we're friends. I mean, obviously, we're friends with those guys. And then it just kind of, then it just stuck. Like it started as like a small thing, and then it stuck. And then I think that it was good because then it became like a thing when we were going to go do rides or go places. It made it easier to say, like, south of 6 is coming to, we're going to wherever. So if you want to ride, this is where we're going, rather than having to randomly tag all these people. And even like content sharing, it just made it easy because now you have a place to just send it and tag things and do things. And then people can find you from that, or find somebody else you're riding with. And then like the extended family of it, like Allison and Adam, those Ottawa crew, and then like obviously Colin and Job and stuff, and they've been really good with like when we've gone up there and using us in their content, and sharing content that way and stuff too. So it's been good, but we also didn't try, like, we're not trying to recreate the wheel. We're not trying to be Job. We're not trying to be XM Army or NOS ATVs and steal their viewers or whatever. It's just, we're just kind of doing our thing. And if we compliment other people in it, that's cool. And we're more than happy to tag other people or spotlight, other people. It's not just us, it's.
Oh, no, like 100%. Like when I seen I am the thumbnail on Muddin' for Parts, Brian's new YouTube video, it brought a fucking tear to my eye. I was like, I've been watching this guy for so long, and now I go on YouTube, and his Skegtober video is a thumbnail of me, and I'm just like, like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, oh, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm speechless. So shout out to Brian, Muddin' for Parts. Go check out his YouTube channel at Muddin' for Parts and watch his new Skegtober video. I have not watched it yet, so I was working all afternoon. But as soon as I'm done this podcast, I'm going inside, cracking open a bag of chips, another beer, and I'm gonna watch that shit.
You got some good stuff in there. There's some good stuff on you. But yeah, and I know what you mean though. Like it's when we went up to Nick's King Boss Quads, when Ostercruiser was there, it was kind of weird because when I didn't know anything about ATVs, and somebody's like, "Oh, you should watch this Cruiser guy," and I'm like, "That's just okay." Guys, flying all over and big doors and night. They're just insane. And then, you go up and you ride with them, and he's the nicest dude. And his wife is a sweetheart. She's hilarious. And they're just super, super fun and like just really, really down to earth people. And he's just a dude, right? Obviously, but when you're in the off-road community, it's kind of, you're like, oh wow, it's Cruiser. That's neat. Like I can still fake out a little bit. And then, it's like, okay, do a pull, go over here. And you're like, okay, I'm 12. Like little child. Hey, yeah, I'll go. And it was kind of me and Dirty were talking about it, and it was like, man, that was kind of neat. Like, and then to see yourself in like one of his shows or videos, you're just like, wow, that's kind of cool. Like it's kind of neat. And I don't care how old you are. I mean, this is a hobby for me. I have like a real life. I've got 3 kids and a wife and a business.
And you got a company to run.
Yeah. But
shout out Handful. Shout it out. Just shout it out, Mike. Shout it out. Shout it out.
I kind of doing my own marketing for that thing.
Well, you can't even use my wife's tits, which is kind of a piss off. I said you can't even use my wife's tits for your marketing. It's kind of a piss off. Instagram won't allow that.
So I'm like, I got the photo from the girl's husband, right? And there's really no breasts really showing.
There's nothing. You can see the crease down the middle, which everybody has, but the gloves are covering absolutely everything. I mean, she got a breast reduction. They're not as big as they used to be. She got a breast reduction for that photo, and we can't even use it.
But
he wasted $6,000 on her tits, bud, but they're going to good use.
But so it's yeah.
And they're I haven't met them yet, Cruiser and Mrs. Cruiser, but the other night I was waiting for my Skegtober video to go live because I got Out the Woods. Shout out Out the Woods. He edits my stuff now because I only have a phone, so I have to. It got to the point where I would have had to start deleting baby photos of Jackson in order to fit footage on my phone. So luckily, and especially with this podcast, like the MP4 or MP3 files are actually bigger than if I do the file of your face, my face, plus the voice. It's weird. So I ran out of space. So Shane took over my YouTube, my Spotify, and he does all the editing and all the posting. So I was up late that night, and I commented on that post she made doing the Handful in the side-by-side with Austin. It was like, shout out Handful, best gloves in the ATV community. And then I got a bunch of notifications. It was like, comment, like, follow. And I looked, and it was her, and I was like, holy shit. And at the same time, I was talking to Asta on Facebook about the May Long Run, and if our wives could, because our wives are going to join us. Me and Dilly are doing a couple strip. It's 10 days. It's 8 days of driving for us to go down I believe it's May 18th for their May Long Run. So we got to take 10 days off. So we're just going to bring the wives because we tried to do 3 days without the wives, and Dilly was looking at me like a fucking piece of meat. So I'm not doing 10 days with that man. He will take advantage of me when I'm sleeping. But and we were talking all night, and it was just, they're just such awesome people. Like you said, they're just people. Yeah. We're all just people. Like Colin is just people.
Oh yeah.
Allison is just people. Can Kearney is just people. Brandon is a bitch, but he's still a person.
It's not his fault. He was drunk.
I think it is his fault. He could try to put a smile on that face.
Yeah, May Long, 99.9% sure I'm gonna go. So. But yeah, again, right? He's like, yeah, sure, you can camp here. We're gonna have stuff set up. They're gonna figure it out. And I'm like, dude, I'll sleep in my truck. I don't care. on a ride for the day, I think it'll be awesome.
That's exactly where I'm gonna bring an enclosed trailer and I will sleep in the enclosed trailer with 4 people. Like, and some people are like, "Oh, you're just going there for the clout. You're just going there for this or that." It's like, no, like you
No,
don't understand what this ride is, and that and bounty hole videos and Job are the first YouTube videos I ever started watching. I drove with Job. I met Job, and I've already talked to Super ATV, so I'm going to do a small tire bounty event down there, and now I'm going May Long. He wouldn't even have to put a camera anywhere near my face. It is
yeah.
not about clout. It is literally, I am riding with Asta Cruiser. I am riding with Blackie. I'm riding with the guys that built my motor parts. Like you can't draw up a better dream. Like it is the biggest wet dream I'm ever going to experience, but it's going to be real.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like that's one good thing with the community pool is as long as you're like, I don't know, it's like a shared, sounds cheesy, but like a shared energy thing. Like people can read kind of who you are and what you're about. And like at the end of the day, we're a bunch of grown-ups acting like children, playing in a mud puddle with a machine that goes vroom vroom. Like we're a bunch of like we're legit. Like I'm 46 and I get all goofy and play in the mud with my friends. Like it's but everybody's for the most part has that same connection to like being outside and like just high-fiving and like when someone does a pull that's awesome, it's just awesome for everybody and it's super cool to see. And it's like it's not like you're like, oh, he went farther than me. Like it's just not there. Like it's just a really fun day. There's no, sure, there's competition in the shit talking. When somebody gets stuck and you can wheel by him and spit skeg at him or whatever, but like that's where it ends. I mean, you're turning.
It's all fun. I mean, if you did that to someone you don't like, you just do that with your crew. You're not doing that with someone you've never met and who doesn't know your vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, if Brandon would have did that to me without ever even meeting me, I would have been like, with his like face like that, I would have been like, what a fucking prick this guy is.
He does smile when he's on his ATV. He does smile more. I have never seen him smile as much though as when he rode a Renegade. Just saying. So there's that too.
I mean, with those gator waders on, they're pretty thick and insulated. You could see the little guy trying to come say hello. He was pretty excited about that. Colin's lucky he got that bike back. Yeah. Like,
but it's good. It's I don't know. I have a lot of fun. It's made, I'll tell you, it probably made all those shutdowns and COVID and all that. Like, I mean, it's as cliche as it sounds, like legit, like it's good for your mental health, like getting outside and like just being with your friends and just like, regardless, I'll say this about the guys too when we ride, like regardless of the ride, it could be the crappiest ride. When I say crappiest, like we don't do anything, we don't go anywhere, we don't hit anything, we literally run down some side roads and go to a pizza place. We will all laugh and smile 90% of the day. We'll enjoy the day. Like it's just, you go home and you just feel like, it just feels good. It just like, it's a lot of fun. And I don't know if people on the outside looking in, like, you guys are morons.
Yeah, they think we're weird as shit. But the wife says that to me all the time. She's like, I'm never going to stop you from going ATVing or buying a part for your bike because I can make you stay home and you'll resent me and then resent me even more when you see all the pictures of your friends having fun. Or yeah. I can let you go out and I can let you buy those parts because the look on your face and then, like, how happy you are when you come home, like, it's like nothing else. You'll like, she never sees me happier than when a new part arrives on the doorstep or when I get back from a run. And like I was telling Blaze on one of the last podcasts, like one of the favorite parts when me and my crew down here ride together is when we all go to the meetup spot. We all have our Tim Hortons, and the bikes aren't even off the trailer, but we sit there for 2 hours and we just shoot the shit. And everybody's laughing. And like I went 6 or 7 months last winter without my bike, and you can ask the wife, I've never been in such a depression in my entire life. I'd come home from work, I'd sit on the couch, I'd put on SWAT, I'd put on Trailer Park Boys, and that's it. There'd be no, like, it was awful.
Well, there's something about it, like just going in the garage, even if you're not really doing anything, and just kind of like, you know, tinkering and just there's a, I don't know what it does, but it kind of frees your brain a little bit and allows you to just decompress from whatever you went through that day and just kind of chill. Like my wife, she's pretty understanding. And she'll, like, she doesn't understand it per se, but she'll tell me she gets it, if that makes sense, right? Like when she sees us out there and came to Skegtober last year, like 21, she was like, this is ridiculous. Or no, she came in the summer too. We went to Lingham, and she was like, this is ridiculous. But she had a good time, and she was like, I can see why, though, you enjoy, like, the time and these people. And, like, how kind everybody was. And how, like, chill everybody was. And how, she's like, you were, like, smiling. At one point, she was like, who is this guy? Bring this guy home, because he's not this much. That's
like, it's like, I don't even see that smile when I whip my titties out. Like, what's going on here?
But so, like, you know, it's good. It's a lot of fun. The people that you're with, I mean, they make it. They make it. That's what makes it fun. Like that's what makes everything kind of worth it. Oh, is it bedtime? Oh, you want to come and say goodbye? I may have to cut it short, I think.
We've been on here for almost 2 hours.
Oh, crap. It's almost 8. All right, here. Oh, you don't? Okay. You want to say hello to the people? Yeah, and then we'll go to bed. Do you want to say hi, Cody?
Hi, Cody.
How are you today?
Good.
What are you going to get when you get older? Are you going to get a Renegade or an Outlander or a Polaris?
What are you going to get? What kind of ATV? No? You're being shy?
For Christmas.
Oh, for Christmas?
Oh, Dad, you better start saving.
Here.
Oh, you're just thinking of mine? Okay. But yeah.
Yes, I do want to get a monster truck. A plastic.
Oh, you want a plastic monster truck? Okay. Monster truck will do.
It's better than Renegade anyways.
Roll it over, you guys.
Just buy him a Sherp. He'll be the happiest kid ever and the coolest kid on the block.
There's a cup there.
There's a cup there? Yeah. That has magic juice in it.
How does it taste?
It tastes terrible.
But I never seen you try it.
No, lots of people. See, my own son's chirping me. I never
He's been hanging out with Brandon way too much.
Yeah.
But this one is almost like a marker axe.
Yep, it is like a marker axe.
But
no, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, we do gotta cut it. But one last thing I'm gonna say is we all need to. If you're going May Long and Don's saying he's going May Long, I want to meet you guys in Ontario the night that you're leaving, me and Dilly, and we'll all roll out together and just kind of try to plan it all together. Like we stop at the same place to sleep and make it like
Yeah.
a big type of group thing.
No, for sure. It'd make more sense. And then too, if there's any breakdowns or any problems,
Yeah.
run out of gas or, don't have gas cans or, you run out of.
We're going with we're gonna get a truck with a tanker on the back of it just for when we go through Quebec. But do you have any shout outs you want to give before you put the boy to bed, Mike?
Yeah. Obviously the South the Six guys, they're always good to me. Yeah, Golden Springs. Shh, Clutch Springs. Life Outdoors and Max and Mac, obviously, they've always been good to me. The guys at Mod Shop, no doubt. TNT, if you want to get your bike wrapped. The OMD, they've been good to me since the beginning. Their stuff's solid. They're just, the guys are nice. Small, again, family business. Started small, they keep blowing up. And Duplicator, actually, that guy hit me up randomly. And if you do need another key, no joke, I've been running it just to see. I've had zero problems. They're cheap as hell. It shows up in like a few days. The guy's legit. So if you need another key, don't waste your money going to a dealership and paying $8 bazillion. Scan your key now so you got it, and order one just so you got an extra key. Trying to think who else. I don't know. Plateau Fab, they've been really nice to me lately, actually. Gardener's Garage. Derek.
Yes, big shout out to Gardener's Garage.
The whole stuff for me. Frankenstein this thing up and at a day's notice doing things for me. And Revs, Full Throttle, my local dealer. They've been super good to me, as well as Brad, if you're in Ontario. Brad at Energy Power Sports. That dude is legit. They run it like a car dealer. So when you schedule stuff, he gets you. And he's got everything, like 2 of everything in stock. Trust me, because I burnt through 3 of his gearboxes. And I guess I should say handful too. Because, well, it's mine. But I'm not good at the shameless promotion.
No, I was gonna say don't even worry. I got that part covered when it's my turn.
We need gloves. Your body? Oh, sorry. We're launching 3 new gloves in the next little bit. We're topping up our winter ones because we sold out of the large and extra large.
Yep, I need large. Dilly needs large.
Okay, but we need shoes. Can you give me 2 seconds? 1, 2. Yeah, so we got 3 new summer ones coming, those tan ones that everybody keeps asking me about. Those are coming. My freestyle BMX guy, his signature ones are coming out. They're pretty dope. We're full of goggles. I do have all the colorways and goggles in stock and ready to ship. They will be in Life Outdoors soon. They're at our local dealer, Revs. Afraid Not Ropes as well. Shout out to him. He's become a good friend and good customer. He does some wholesale retail stuff. So if you're floating around him, he can get a hold of the stuff. And then obviously the website, jump online. If there's something that you want that you see that could be sold out, hit me up, because I just haven't updated everything, because until I have stock of it, I'm done with the pre-sale a little bit, only because sometimes with shipping and all that stuff, things get delayed. And
yeah,
I've taken somebody's money and they're like, oh, it's been 3 weeks or 5 weeks. And so things have gotten better with the supply chain, but
well, let me know, because me and Dilly, it's starting to get cold out, and me and Dilly would need to order some of those winter gloves. I only have 2 sets of the summer ones, and she gets a little nipply down here by the water, so
they get tough, or your knuckles get cold.
But I'll give just 2 quick shout outs before you go. Shout out Handful, keeping all the riders stylish, hands warm, eyes safe from all the mud we're slinging. And shout out Pepsi, because it's way better than Dr. Pepper. All right, guys, that has been episode 5 of the Behind the Bars podcast with FleeterMike, or as you now know him as Mike. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good night, Mike.
Thanks. See you later, Coach.
See ya.